Have you ever looked at your partner across the dinner table and wondered when the spark quietly faded into silence? Have you ever missed being touched, not out of routine, but with intention? Like you mattered, like you were still seen? As we grow older, intimacy often slips through our fingers, not because love has disappeared, but because life has layered itself in between. Habits, hesitations, the unspoken weight of time, and yet beneath the surface, the need remains. The need to be held, to be understood, to feel warmth not just in the body, but in the heart. Today we share the wisdom of a 76-year-old woman, someone who has walked through decades of quiet longing, small rediscoveries, and the surprising joy of starting over. Even when you thought it was too late. If you've ever felt the distance in a long relationship, or wondered if closeness could return after 60, after 70, this story is for you. If any part of this resonates, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you'd like to explore more honest, healing conversations like this, feel free to subscribe. You're not alone in the way you feel. Exploring sensitivity zones. When it comes to intimacy, many couples often think of familiar, sensitive areas like the neck, lips, or ears. But did you know there are plenty of other spots on the body that can bring even more delightful sensations? Imagine if, instead of sticking to traditional touches, you and your partner explored those lesser-known sensitive zones together. This not only enhances physical connection, but also opens up a world of exciting new experiences in your relationship. It all started when my partner and I decided to try something a little different. We talked about what made us feel good and realized there were so many areas we hadn't explored yet. One time, we tried gently kissing each other's stomachs, and to our surprise, the intimacy and warmth it brought were incredible. Those soft touches in places we'd never thought to explore created a deeper and more exciting connection between us. What's fascinating is that intimacy isn't just about what happens in the bedroom. It's also about listening to and understanding each other's responses. When you take the time to discover these sensitive areas, you'll find that everyone has unique preferences. A light kiss on the belly or a gentle stroke on the back can evoke feelings of closeness that you might have never experienced before. These little moments can forge a stronger bond between you two. I remember the first time we decided to experiment with touches in new areas. The results were amazing. We not only felt more satisfied physically, but also noticed a much deeper emotional connection. Open conversations about our likes and desires helped us understand each other better, creating a safe space for sharing and exploring. So if you're looking to enrich your intimate experiences, don't hesitate to explore those lesser-known sensitive zones. By tuning into each other's reactions and preferences, you can create memorable and profound moments in your relationship. Remember, intimacy is a journey of discovery that never truly ends. 2. The importance of foreplay. Have you ever experienced the thrill of intimacy that begins long before the main event? Foreplay is the secret ingredient that can elevate a simple encounter into a deeply fulfilling experience. Yet it's often rushed or undervalued. Many couples overlook the incredible opportunities for emotional connection that foreplay provides, thinking it's merely a warm-up. However, dedicating time to foreplay can significantly enhance both physical pleasure and emotional bonding, creating a richer experience for both partners. Foreplay is not just a precursor to intimacy. It's an essential part of building trust and connection. During these tender moments, partners can communicate their desires and boundaries, fostering a safe space for vulnerability. It's in this shared exploration that intimacy flourishes, transforming a casual encounter into something profoundly meaningful. By focusing on foreplay, couples can discover each other's unique responses, igniting passion and pleasure that elevate the entire experience. In my own journey, recognizing the emotional aspects of foreplay has completely transformed my intimate experiences. I used to see foreplay as merely a means to an end, something to rush through before getting to the main event. But as I began to embrace it as a crucial part of intimacy, everything changed. I started to appreciate the little moments, soft kisses, gentle caresses, whispered words of affection, that created a rich tapestry of connection between my partner and me. These moments of foreplay became a dance of discovery, allowing us to explore not only our bodies but also our emotions and desires. The beauty of foreplay lies in its ability to heighten anticipation and excitement. When you take the time to engage in this intimate ritual, you create a buildup that makes the eventual connection more intense and fulfilling. It's in those lingering touches and shared laughter that trust is built, reinforcing the foundation of a strong relationship. Next time you find yourselves together, consider slowing down and embracing the art of foreplay. Allow yourselves to explore each other's bodies and emotions fully. You'll discover that this patient approach not only enhances your physical pleasure, but also creates lasting emotional bonds that enrich your relationship. Foreplay is not just an appetizer. It's a vital ingredient in the recipe for a deeper, more fulfilling, intimate experience. 3. Practical tips for enhancing intimacy. You know, sometimes it's the simplest things that can completely transform your intimate life. I used to think that intimacy was all about grand gestures or complicated techniques. But honestly, it's the little changes that have made the biggest difference for me and my partner. Take hydration, for example. I know it sounds boring, but staying properly hydrated has done wonders for our energy levels and how present we feel in those moments together. When your body feels good, everything flows better, literally and figuratively. And it's amazing how something as basic as drinking more water can make such a difference. Another thing we tried that really spiced things up was sensory exploration. One night we decided to use a blindfold, and let me tell you, it was a game changer. Without sight, every little touch, sound, or even a whisper felt so much more intense. It was like we were discovering each other all over again. It's such a simple idea, but it made everything feel new and exciting. And honestly, it brought us closer emotionally too. It's those little experiments that remind you how much fun intimacy can be. We also started switching up positions, which, let's be real, can sometimes feel a little awkward at first. But once we got past the initial giggles, we found that trying something new, like spooning or even standing positions, brought a whole new kind of connection. Spooning, for example, felt so comforting and intimate while still being playful and sensual. And standing, well, let's just say it added a little adventure to our routine. It's not about being perfect at it. It's about laughing, experimenting, and finding what works for both of you. Oh, and let's not forget about natural lubricants. I know it's not the most glamorous topic, but it makes a huge difference. Something as simple as saliva can make things smoother and more comfortable, but you've got to find the right balance. Too much, and it can get messy. Too little, and it might not feel great. It's all about paying attention to each other and figuring out what feels best. Honestly, these small changes have made our intimate moments feel so much more connected and enjoyable. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about being open to trying new things, having fun, and focusing on each other. If you're looking to bring a little extra spark into your relationship, start small. You'd be surprised how much of a difference it can make. The power of communication. If there's one thing I've learned about intimacy, it's that communication truly makes all the difference. It's incredible how much can change when you and your partner start having open and honest conversations about your desires, preferences, and even your fears. For a long time, I avoided bringing up certain topics because they felt awkward or uncomfortable. But keeping those thoughts to myself only created distance between us. Once we began talking openly, everything started to shift. It wasn't just about improving the physical aspects of our relationship. It was about truly understanding each other on a deeper, more emotional level. Discussing what we enjoyed, what we were curious about, and even what made us uneasy helped us build a stronger connection and created a safe space where we both felt valued. Communication, however, isn't only about the words we say. Paying attention to nonverbal cues has been just as important in strengthening our bond. Sometimes a gesture, a glance, or even the way my partner reacts to something can communicate more than words ever could. I've learned to notice these moments and respond to them with care and understanding. For example, if I sense hesitation or discomfort, I gently ask if everything is all right. These small acts of attentiveness have not only made my partner feel more comfortable, but have also deepened the trust between us. It has taught me that communication is not just about speaking, it's also about listening, observing, and showing that you genuinely care about your partner's feelings. One of the most transformative things we've done is learning how to give and receive feedback in a way that feels supportive rather than critical. At first, it felt awkward to talk about what worked well and what didn't, but over time, we realized how valuable those conversations were. Instead of seeing feedback as criticism, we began to view it as an opportunity to grow together. For instance, my partner might suggest trying something a little differently, or I might share what made me feel especially connected during a moment. These discussions weren't always easy in the beginning, but they have strengthened our relationship and made us feel like we're truly on the same team, working together to create something beautiful. From my experience, I can confidently say that communication is the foundation of a fulfilling and meaningful, intimate relationship. It's not just about fixing problems or addressing misunderstandings. It's about building trust, fostering understanding, and creating a deeper connection. If you're feeling distant or unsure, starting with an honest conversation can make all the difference. It doesn't need to be perfect or rehearsed. It just needs to come from the heart. You might be surprised at how much closer it can bring you. 5. Myths about female pleasure. Did you know one of the biggest myths about female pleasure is the idea that all women experience it in the same way? For the longest time, I believed this too, thinking there was some magical one-size-fits-all formula when it came to intimacy. But let me tell you, nothing could be further from the truth. Every woman's body is unique, and what works wonders for one person might not even register for another. I learned this the hard way, through trial, error, and a lot of awkward moments. But once I started embracing the idea that pleasure is personal, it completely transformed how I approached intimacy, and, honestly, how I viewed myself. The first thing I realized is that understanding individual preferences is everything. It's not just about figuring out what feels good physically, it's about creating a space where both people feel comfortable exploring what works for them. For example, I remember a time when I assumed something my partner did would feel amazing because, well, isn't that what movies and magazines always show? But it didn't. Instead of pretending or staying silent, I decided to speak up. That simple conversation opened the door to so much more understanding between us. We started exploring together, trying new things and figuring out what felt right for me and for us as a couple. It wasn't just fun, it brought us closer in ways I never expected. What really surprised me was how much communication changed everything. At first, I was nervous about talking openly about what I liked or didn't like. Let's be real, those conversations can feel a little awkward, especially at the beginning. But once I pushed past that initial discomfort, I realized how freeing it was. It wasn't just about telling my partner what worked for me, it was also about listening to them and learning what they enjoyed too. Those moments of honesty made me feel seen, heard, and respected, which in turn made our connection feel even stronger. It's funny how something as simple as talking can make such a big difference. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that intimacy isn't about following some universal rule book. It's about curiosity, patience, and a willingness to learn about each other's unique needs and desires. Letting go of the myths and embracing the idea that pleasure looks different for everyone has been one of the most empowering things I've ever done. It's not just about creating better physical experiences, it's about building trust, respect, and a deeper connection. So if you've ever felt unsure or stuck, my advice is to start with a conversation. You might be surprised at how much closer it can bring you. 6. Understanding intimacy. Have you ever felt like intimacy is way more complicated than it should be? I know I have. For a long time, I thought intimacy was just about physical connection. Like if you got that part right, everything else would magically fall into place. But let me tell you, that's not how it works. Real intimacy is so much deeper than that. It's about understanding your partner, breaking down the myths we've all been fed about relationships and female sexuality, and learning how to truly connect. And honestly, that journey can feel messy and awkward at times, but it's also one of the most rewarding things you'll ever experience. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that intimacy isn't a one-size-fits-all thing. Every person experiences it differently, and that's especially true for women. For years, I thought there was some universal playbook for how intimacy was supposed to look or feel, thanks to movies, TV shows, and let's be real, a lot of bad advice. But the truth is, What works for one person might not work for another. I remember a moment in my own relationship when I realized this. I'd been doing things I thought my partner wanted because, well, isn't that what everyone says works? But when we finally sat down and had an honest conversation, I learned so much about what she actually enjoyed. And it wasn't what I'd been assuming. That conversation changed everything for us. Here's the thing. Communication is the secret sauce to intimacy. Yeah, it can feel awkward at first. Talking about what you like, what you don't, or what you want to try can make you feel vulnerable, and let's be honest, a little nervous. But once you start, it's like a door opens. I've found that those conversations not only make intimacy better, but they also bring you closer emotionally. When you truly listen to your partner and share your own feelings, it creates a level of trust and connection that goes way beyond physical touch. And honestly, it's kind of amazing to feel so seen and understood by someone you love. The journey to real intimacy isn't always smooth, but it's worth every step. It's about letting go of unrealistic ideas, being open to learning about each other, and growing together. Sure, it might take some patience and a few uncomfortable chats, but the result is a relationship that feels deeper, more connected, and so much more fulfilling. So if you're feeling stuck or unsure, start with a conversation. You might be surprised at how much it changes everything. 7. Physical discomfort. During intimacy. Have you ever been in the middle of an intimate moment and suddenly felt uncomfortable? Maybe it was the way you were positioned, or perhaps something just didn't feel quite right, but you didn't know how to bring it up. Trust me, you're not alone. Physical discomfort during intimacy is something so many people experience, yet it's rarely talked about. For the longest time, I thought it was just something you had to deal with, like an awkward part of the process. But the truth is, ignoring discomfort can create barriers between you and your partner, leaving both of you feeling disconnected. The good news? It doesn't have to be that way. By addressing these issues openly, you can make intimacy not just more comfortable, but way more enjoyable for both of you. I'll never forget a conversation I had with a friend who confided in me about how certain positions during intimacy always left her feeling sore or strained. She told me she'd been too embarrassed to bring it up with her partner, so she just endured it, thinking she was the only one who felt this way. But as we talked, I realized how common this problem actually is. Physical discomfort isn't just about the body. It can mess with your confidence, your mood, and even your emotional connection with your partner. And the worst part, when you don't talk about it, your partner might not even realize something's wrong. That's why open communication is so important. It's not about complaining or pointing fingers. It's about working together to create an experience that feels good for both of you. In my own relationship, I've learned that even small adjustments can make a big difference. There was a time when I felt uncomfortable during certain moments, but didn't say anything because I didn't want to ruin the mood. Eventually, though, I realized that staying silent wasn't doing either of us any favors. So I started bringing it up, gently of course, and we began experimenting with different positions and approaches. It wasn't just about fixing the discomfort, it was about finding what worked best for both of us. And honestly, those moments of figuring it out together brought us closer. It showed me that intimacy isn't about perfection. It's about being in tune with each other and making adjustments when needed. The key takeaway? Don't ignore discomfort. It's not a sign of failure or incompatibility. It's just a signal that something needs to shift. By talking about it openly and being willing to adapt, you can turn those awkward moments into opportunities for growth and connection. Intimacy should be a space where both partners feel safe, comfortable, and cared for. So if something doesn't feel right, speak up. You'll be surprised at how much better things can get when you work together to make it right. 8. Intimacy during menstrual periods. Let's be real. Intimacy during menstruation is one of those topics that people really don't like to talk about. For a long time, I thought it was just something to avoid altogether. I mean, there's so much stigma around it, right? It's messy, uncomfortable, and society has done a great job of making it seem like it's off limits. But here's the thing. Avoiding intimacy during this time often comes from misconceptions or a lack of communication, and it can actually create unnecessary distance between partners. What I've learned is that when you approach the topic with openness and understanding, it not only makes intimacy during menstruation less of a taboo, but it can also lead to deeper emotional connections and even unique, meaningful experiences. I used to be hesitant to even bring it up with my partner. I worried about how they'd react. Would they think it was gross? Would it make them uncomfortable? But the truth is, the discomfort I felt was more about my own insecurities than anything else. When I finally worked up the courage to talk about it, I was surprised at how supportive and understanding my partner was. We had an honest conversation about what we were both comfortable with, and it completely shifted my perspective. Instead of feeling ashamed or like I needed to hide this part of myself, I started to see it as just another natural part of life, and one that didn't have to get in the way of intimacy. One of the most important things I've learned is that everyone's feelings about intimacy during menstruation are different, and that's okay. Some people are totally open to it, while others might feel hesitant, and both perspectives are valid. The key is to talk about it, openly, honestly, and without judgment. For example, I've had moments where I wasn't feeling up for anything physical because of cramps or fatigue, and being able to communicate that without guilt made all the difference. On the flip side, there have been times when I felt more connected and in tune with my body during my period, and sharing that with my partner led to some really intimate and bonding experiences. It's all about respecting each other's boundaries and finding what works for both of you. At the end of the day, intimacy during menstruation doesn't have to be a big deal or something to shy away from. When you're willing to have those conversations and approach the topic with empathy and understanding, it can actually strengthen your relationship. It's not just about the physical aspect. It's about showing acceptance, care, and a willingness to navigate life's messy, literally, moments together. For me, those conversations have been a reminder that intimacy is about so much more than perfection. It's about connection, trust, and being there for each other, no matter what. 9. Exploring new tools and techniques. When was the last time you felt truly excited about your intimate connection with your partner? For many couples, it's all too easy to settle into a routine, doing what feels familiar and safe. But over time, that comfort can start to feel stagnant. I used to think that if something was working, there was no need to change it. Why risk the awkwardness of trying something new? But what I've come to realize is that sticking to the same habits can quietly limit your connection, leaving you and your partner missing out on deeper levels of intimacy and excitement. The truth is, being open to exploring new tools and techniques isn't just about spicing things up. It's about rediscovering each other in ways that can strengthen your bond and bring a sense of adventure back into your relationship. I still remember how nervous I felt the first time I approached my partner about trying something different. The idea of stepping outside our comfort zone felt intimidating, and I worried about how they might react. Would they think I was being unrealistic or pushy? But instead of shutting the idea down, they listened with curiosity, which made me feel safe enough to share more. That moment of openness created a new layer of trust between us. And even though we started small, the experience of exploring together completely transformed how we connected. It wasn't just about trying something new. It was about the vulnerability and teamwork that came with it. And that made all the difference. What I've learned is that experimentation doesn't have to mean diving into something completely unfamiliar or extreme right away. It can be as simple as introducing a new tool, trying a different approach, or even just having an honest conversation about fantasies or desires you've never shared before. The beauty of exploring together is that it's not about achieving perfection. It's about being curious, playful, and willing to grow as a team. Even the smallest changes can reignite a sense of excitement and connection, reminding you both that intimacy is a journey, not a destination. Of course, communication and mutual respect are key. Not every idea will resonate, and that's perfectly okay. What matters most is creating a safe space where both partners feel heard and supported. For me, opening up to new possibilities has brought a sense of adventure and joy back into my relationships. It's shown me that intimacy isn't static. It's a dynamic, evolving part of a partnership that thrives on curiosity and creativity. So if you've been feeling stuck or hesitant, take that first step. Start the conversation, explore new ideas, and see where it leads. You might just uncover a deeper, more exciting connection than you ever thought possible. As we come to the end of today's reflection, I invite you to pause and let the wisdom shared by that 76-year-old woman gently settle into your heart. She reminded us that love does not retire with age, that intimacy is not reserved for the young, and that connection, real, soulful connection, can be rekindled even after years of silence, even after life has layered itself over our tenderness. Like the old oak tree she spoke of, relationships grow not from grand gestures, but from quiet, consistent care. A kind word, a patient touch, a moment of true listening. These are the sunlight, the rain, and the roots that keep love alive. So if her story stirred something in you, let that feeling guide you. Maybe it's time to have a conversation you've been avoiding, to explore something new with someone familiar, or simply to open your heart again. If this message spoke to you, please consider sharing it with someone who might need it. And if you'd like to walk this journey with us, through age, through love, through rediscovery, we warmly invite you to subscribe. Your story matters, and this space is here for you. Thank you for being here today.